Welcome to Toffee TV. It is the instant match reaction. Crystal Palace 2, Everton 2 down at Selhurst Park. Obviously, a few changes made for this game. Alan Lennon coming in, Morgan Snyland coming in, and Ademola Lookman coming into the side. Certainly for Lennon and Ademola Lookman's cameo performances against Watford in our last game. And yeah, it couldn't have possibly got off to a worse start, could it? First minute, James McArthur taps in after Jordan Pickford had pushed out a shot. And we're 1-0 behind pretty instantaneously. Great, Everton. We got ourselves back in the game after 6 minutes, a penalty by Leighton Baines after Niasse was savagely fouled in the box. What is it? Was it a dive? Was there contact? Will he get a 3-match ban? All those things are probably correct. Obviously, we went behind again. Zaha scoring the second. And then just before half-time, Niasse scores a lovely finish, to be honest. A lovely switch from his left to his right foot. Lovely body movement. Puts it in just before half-time. And that's how it stayed, 2-2 for the rest of the game. I think this is a hard-fought point because we were so crap. Let's be honest. We've just gone to the bottom team in the Premier League and been dominated, basically, haven't we? We've been dominated by them, possession-wise, shots-wise. We've been dominated, and that's probably the worst thing. I mean, Palace. That was no surprise to me, that performance, because I think they've been getting better, and they've just been unlucky. Probably because their defence is so poor. Another Dutch influence. But going forward, the strong, the pacey. And I think that's where we come undone for a lot of the game. They just controlled the game. And that's what we simply don't do. We don't control games. I think against Watford, when we got back into the game, it's the first time we've controlled the game for a long time, where we just sat in someone's half and just kept pounding on the door again and again and again. And that's what we didn't do. We tried to play on the counter-attack, and I don't think we've got good enough players to play on the counter-attack because we just, I don't know, we don't keep the ball enough, or players don't join in enough. Obviously, he was trying to, the starting lineup, obviously, with two holding midfielders, he was trying to avert what happened, I think, against Leicester, trying to keep it a lot more tight. Obviously, have three out-and-out sort of attacking players with Niasse and Lookman and Alan Lennon, to a lesser extent, because obviously Alan Lennon gets back, and he showed that in one great run from, I think he run for all the way back from their goal to our box with Zaha, which was absolutely fantastic, and maybe what other players haven't been doing, and that's why he's been in the starting 11. But it's just the amount of control we allowed Crystal Palace to have. That's what saddened me. We sat so deep, and maybe that's because of the lack of pace in the back four. That we can't step up. I mean, that was one of the criticisms last season. That one of the reasons we couldn't win away from home is because our defence had to sit so deep, because it was normally Funes Mori and Jagielka, Ashley Williams, whatever, and you can't step up. There's no pace over the top, and obviously Baines is not blessed with lightning pace. Kenny certainly don't think he's blessed with lightning pace. So that's one of the real problems that we come across, and they just they had control, sat on us, and kept sort of knocking. And we, to be honest, second half we defended quite well. They got a couple of shots off. There's one in the very last minute where Jordan Pickford had to make a save. But that's what we're gonna have to start doing. You got to find the balance of how to play. Yes, we went to Leicester, and we were too gung-ho without ever really having any control, and that allowed them in. Whereas today we were a little bit more conservative in our play, trying to play on the break, and that maybe allowed us to defend better. But we still conceded 2 against the team who were bottom of the league. And we had, don't get me wrong, we had a couple of chances. Calvin Lewin had a really good chance early on in the second half, which really he should be burying. But you know, we've got to start, I suppose, turning a draw like that into a win. But I'm not going to go overboard, because I can't sit here going, well, I'm devastated we drew, because I'm actually, happy that we got a result because of the performance. I want the performance to be better, don't get me wrong. I want the performance to be better so we can win those games. But based on the performance, I'm really happy we got a draw, because, we were, as I say, everything we've already mentioned. One of the real problems for me is our physical stature. Pace, obviously, being addressed a lot of times, but just the size of the team. You look at some of their plays today, you look at Zaha, you look at Loftus-Cheek, and you just think, physically, we struggle. Now, if we can get, and these are big ifs, if we can get Balassi back in the team, training with the under-23s, if we can get Ross Barkley back in the team, and obviously Seamus Coleman, there's 3 players that certainly would address that. Seamus for his pace, Ross physically, big lad, and Balassi's a big lad. If we can get those back in and around the team, before Christmas, that gives you that little bit of physical edge. But when you see players like Zaha up against Baines, a lot of the time it's a non-contest. And Kenny, I mean, he's to be honest, Kenny wasn't too bad today, but physically he's only small, and that means that all of the rest of his game's got to be spot on. But then again, you got players like Michael Keane that looks like, well, yeah, he's not playing too well, is he, at the moment? So it's swings and roundabouts, but we have to get bigger players into the side. We have to buy physically stronger players. But then again, we said that about Snardlin. It's whether these players want to play. Snardlin didn't look that interested today about playing. You can talk all you want about non-stories and this stuff, but if you turn up and you put a performance like that, you're going to be taken off at half-time. And the problem is, you bring a Tom Davies on who's exactly the opposite. He wants to put himself about, but he hasn't got the experience to know when to throw himself about, and that's the problem. And that leads to needless bookings that mean that you're walking a tightrope for the rest of the game. But I thought Lennon had a good game. Thought he put a real shift in. And Niasse, no matter what you say about the penalty, he's won it. And as much as I don't like diving, he's created something there, hasn't he? He's created something. He was bumped and he went down and he won as a penalty. How many times does that not happen? And his goal was great. His goal was great. First of all, he goes on the keeper and he closes him down, and the keeper thinks he's dead good, dead cocky, because he takes him on. And then the keeper thinks, I'll just put the ball out from the back instead of slashing up the pitch, which what any sane person would do in the last minute. Great tackle by Garner. Sigurdsson first time pass, and it's a lovely shift from his left foot to his right foot. Lovely movement with his body, and he finishes really, really well. Unfortunately, Niasse got another booking, and then early on in the second half, he had a couple of fouls that maybe have been yellow cards and could have been sent off. And from then, his game was completely nullified. He couldn't go running around, but he puts himself about, and his goals to game record is absolutely brilliant. And he sort of leads the way. And maybe if he hadn't been on that yellow card in the second half, we might have been able to get up higher up the pitch, because he could have gone in for 50-50s, knowing that full well that he wasn't going to get sent off. But the main thing was that he didn't get sent off. I thought it was interesting that Wayne Rooney wasn't brought on, and Sandro was brought in for the last, 15 minutes or so. That was interesting that he didn't even get on the pitch. But maybe that's just the manager gauging the situation and knowing that it was a fast tempo game and there was no point bringing him on. But ultimately, as I say, without repeating myself, it's a well-earned point. But that's only because we were crap. That's 4 points out of the last 2 games. If we can keep it going, Southampton next week and then a couple of home games to follow that. If we can get 6 points out of those games, I mean, if we can get honestly, if we can get 7 points out of the next 3 games, I'll be delighted. I really would. I'd be delighted, because that would be absolutely fantastic, and that would start putting us in the mix to sort of get mid-table then. But ultimately, let's get a manager. Can we get a manager? A manager? That guy on the sidelines who controls everything? Can we get one of them so we can start sort of knowing where we are. So all the arguments over people like Vlasic and Sigurdsson, although I don't, and Snidlin and Morales and Klassen, and so we can start bedding down a team and everyone knows where they are because we've got a permanent manager. Can we start doing that? And I think that would make things a lot more easier for everybody. So, it takes away all that extra stuff. We get a system, we get a way of playing, everyone knows what they're doing, and we move on. Rather than this, well, is he in charge, isn't he in charge thing that we've got at the moment. Certain players don't want to play for the manager or whatever. Let's just get a manager in this week, please, and get on with things. Get him in. If we get a manager in this week before the Atalanta game, then he gets almost like a freebie. Well, it is a freebie, isn't it? Because it's not on it. And then we take that into the Southampton game, and then a couple of home games. Yeah, let us know your thoughts in the comments on this game. And check out Baz's instant reaction and his player ratings. And check out the final word when we do that on Monday. Thanks for watching. I'll see you later.